I was born an above knee amputee. They really have no idea why that happened. I had an ultrasound before I was born, everything checked out okay. Came out with one leg, and then I remember my very first leg, which was hand carved on a lathe out of one single piece of wood and had a strap that went around my neck to hold it on. Technology's obviously improved a lot since then, but through those years of growing up, I remember always being uncomfortable. So I was always uncomfortable wearing my artificial leg, and I would actually opt to wear crutches or use a wheelchair over using my prosthetic. And it wasn't until 2013 when I decided that I wanted to try running for the first time that I started to look around at who was recommended in that industry. I actually spoke to some people over in Melbourne and they mentioned Andrew's name, Andrew Veering, and so then I organised an appointment, came here, got my first ever running leg designed and developed, absolutely fell in love with it and fell in love with running. And then I started to get my everyday leg made here as well, and that same precision was passed on to my everyday leg, and then they became comfortable. So I started coming to OPS in 2013. And the original reason for coming here was because I was told that Andrew would be the best person to see about making a running leg. When I got that leg designed and when I started using it, I was blown away by the fact that my running leg, which would have far more impact than any other leg, was more comfortable than all the other legs that I'd ever worn. And so then I asked if Andrew would make my everyday leg. And that was when the life-changing moment happened. I got to experience what it was like to wear a leg that was designed and fit the way it was supposed to. I've had lots of goals along the way. My very first goal in 2013 was learning to run. After I started doing that, I set a far larger goal of going to the 2016 Paralympics for the first ever para-triathlon. And I thought running was already complicated enough from a prosthetics technology side of things. And then when I decided to do triathlon, we had to bring in a cycling leg, a running leg, and an everyday leg to protect me through the day. And so, yeah, there was a lot of work, but we managed to design some legs that I think are the very best in the world to do what I need to do. Andrew helps me with my training in a multitude of ways. So there's been multiple times where he's come down and watched me run to see if the leg alignment is where it needs to be, or if there's changes that need to be made for the speed coming through. We've also met at random cafes to make sure when I've got a last minute tweak before I have to fly out to the world champs. And being able to have, the prosthetic or prosthetist come down and see you in action is really the best way to make sure that those adjustments are what they need to be. My reaction when I was told that I was selected for the first ever para-triathlon team for Rio 2016 Paralympics was almost a sigh of relief. I'd spent close to 3 years dreaming about this one particular goal, and they delayed telling us for as long as they possibly could. So we kind of already had a good idea, but when I finally got my boarding pass, which I now have laminated and filed away, yeah, it was amazing, a dream come true. My experience in Rio was phenomenal. Honestly, the race itself didn't go the way that I would have liked it to, but being there was unbelievable. It was everything and more that I thought it was going to be. And having Andrew there was really comforting in the fact that I knew if we had anything major go wrong before the race, that we were going to be able to sort it out. And there was a few little dramas that we had along the way in terms of one of my valves wasn't holding a seal. And so we had some late night texting to figure out how we were going to fix it in a very interesting place like Brazil. The reason that I recommend OPS, and I do probably more than once a month, is because what I found, which was very simple, that the way that they design prosthetics is based on a passion. So the passion that I have for sport is equaled by the passion that these guys have for making sure that the leg fits properly and is designed for what it needs to be designed for. I'd just like to say a thank you from my wife, Natalie Medwid. So basically, it was a life-changing experience for me coming to OPS because I can now wear an artificial leg all day, every day, and it isn't a drama. Whereas before, I'd opt for crutches or a wheelchair, and it meant that my wife really had to do a lot of things that she shouldn't have had to, and made things a lot more difficult. And now I get to be able to do everything as an able-bodied athlete or an able-bodied person should be able to do, and it was life-changing.